Welcome back, everybody. We got a lot to talk about this morning, okay? Brian Armstrong from Coinbase hinting that Steve Mnuchin is about to drop some bombs on crypto holders. Then we have some news also in the department of PayPal shutting down a crypto buyer or trader. Let's just roll that beautiful intro and get into this thing. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know. I've got the mute button on. I don't have it on. I do have it on. We're back. Here we go. You can follow me at Backup Bradley on Twitter as above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here. And before we get going, I just want to wish everybody here, if you celebrate Thanksgiving or just a time to be with family, friends, or coworkers, or whoever you're close to, I hope you have a wonderful day and an extended weekend. And if not, wherever you are abroad, I hope you're having a great day with family and friends. So let's go ahead and kick this off because we do have a lot to talk about today. It would appear that there is a lot happening with Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, and a discussion or a leaning in, I should say, from the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin. We're going to get into that in a second. We're also going to talk about some BIS news and CBDCs, and then we're going to discuss also the PayPal incident with cryptocurrency traders and talk about the implications of that also. So let's start right here. The daily social volume. This is from XRP Crypto Wolf. Shout out to you, my friend. The daily social volume mentions on crypto platforms of XRP is on the verge of surpassing Ethereum for the first time in 7 months. This crossover will be significant as it signals change in interest level between the two assets, regardless of positivity. So we will keep an eye on that. But, we did discuss the other day, yesterday, I believe it was, over 500% up the searches for Ripple on Google search engine. So I think that leans into the same idea notion. There's a lot of people interested in Ripple and XRP. We've added XRP and Zen as borrowable assets on the Binance loan platform. This is a limited amount available on a first come, first served basis. Thank you to Michael Val, 5 links for that. It's nice to see Binance expanding their loan program to include the assets XRP and Zen. I would just remind people, make sure you understand what you're doing if you're going to borrow against your crypto, especially in a really volatile market. I mean, we've seen a huge pullback this morning, and that's not unnatural. And believe me, before we get out of here on this video, we're going to talk about the idea about that pullback and what we're seeing. So, all right, so let's keep this going for now. Build the news here. Bitcoin has become a macro asset to hedge against the debasement of fiat currency, both here in the U.S. and abroad, said Mike Novogratz. Everyone should put 2 to 3% of their net worth in Bitcoin and look at it in 5 years. Well, Galaxy Digital CEO is obviously a huge Bitcoiner, and he does hold XRP too, even though he doesn't speak favorably about it most of the time. So, but at any rate, this points to what I've been saying all along. Just the other day, Jay Clayton, God bless him, from the SEC, said that Bitcoin was going up because of the need for payments. Sorry, not sorry, that's not it. It's being seen more as a hedge today than it was as a speculative asset 3 years ago. And that's the end of that one. And when you add in the debasement of fiat currency into that equation, the hedge just gets bigger and better. Moving forward here, we see that idea and understanding happening in the launch of a $49 billion fund manager launches Bitcoin ETN in Europe. VanEck's Bitcoin ETN product will let investors buy and trade Bitcoin as easily as stocks. Paper trading. You don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. You're probably not going to do it. But you know what? Institutions do it, and they love offering these type of products. Again, history doesn't always repeat, but it certainly rhymes. And if you're going to have the institutions in this space, then you better have a template or a framework that looks a lot like at least a lot like what the traditional structure of trading and products looks like. Otherwise, they won't be here. So this is just another growth process that I see here for Bitcoin, and it won't be long. The ETN is to really show that it works and to do well with that in Europe. And I think they're looking to push and still get that ETF. Remember, Van Eck had pushed for a ETF a couple different times a few years ago and didn't get it approved through the SEC. I think this might be a measure going on the other side of the globe in Europe here, launching where they may have a little easier path to get that done. And then eventually we're going to have the ETFs for Bitcoin. You can see it coming. Here's another one I wanted to point out, and I'm really happy to do this. This is all for my Aussie friends. Australia's government embraces blockchain with new trial and a public servants network. XRP Crypto Wolf says the Australian government continues to drive blockchain adoption, launching a public service blockchain network and trialing an intergovernment document exchange. Now, one of the things I wanted to show this for my Aussie friends is just the fact that Australia really has been pushing hard for blockchain adoption. They've been doing a lot, and they haven't gotten the attention that I feel like, Japan or Singapore has and things of that nature. And I just want to shout out to my Aussie friends on that one. That's a great little piece of news right there. Now, moving here, Western Union. That's right, Western Union advances its digital growth strategy with investment in STC Pay. STC Pay is a project that is in Saudi Arabia, and it says to run Temenos on a private cloud. Temenos is obviously directly connected to Ripple and XRP, but we have to understand that there's a huge network of payments. This could also be a direct connection to the Ethereum network as well, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on this to see how expansive it becomes right out of the gate, or if it takes some time before it touches anything that we're interested in, Ripple or XRP oriented. But it's certainly good news to see them moving into a digital growth strategy investment. I love that. If you've been in this space for any length of time, I can't help but think about that moment on stage where the CEO at the time, I think it was Gottlieb, right? I think it was Gottlieb. I don't want to give it to the wrong one, but whoever it was, like, hey, we could still do a deal. I just talked to Brad backstage, talking about Brad Garlinghouse, and it was a pretty remarkable moment. But anyway, moving on here, and shout out to Bank XRP for that news. PayPal sent them a message saying it had permanently limited their account. The user said they made at least 10 transactions within a week, purchasing during dips and selling when the price was high. PayPal asked for explanations for each transaction. Ooh. Us retail investors and speculators in this market, well, we're not feeling any of this. This guy, you talk about going against the core grain of what crypto investing is about. This shows you right here that PayPal is putting a hammer on this buy and sell business. Look, I have to say, this conversation stays open for now, but this makes me feel like, are we about to see a change in the approach of cryptocurrencies as a whole? Or is this a mechanism to try to stop customers on PayPal when they buy crypto, from buying and selling the dips and then getting the capital gains issue? You can't monitor people this way. This does not a solution make, okay? This much I can tell you. Now, there's a lot of pain points in the early emerging projects and products and offering and services in a market that's still growing. But I have to say that this is not a solution. We're going to do this to every PayPal customer that decides to buy the dip and sell high and get back out. Again, this leans into the understanding that there's a capital gains tax implication here. Or is it? Or is it that soon enough we're about to see a huge change in the definition and understanding of virtual currencies and digital assets as a whole? I don't know, but something is afoot here, because this is not right And I have to say, I have a hard time seeing that this could be the daily 24-hour policy approach for every customer buying and selling cryptocurrency on PayPal's app. They would have to close tomorrow because, there's going to be a lot of people that realize, hey, I buy low, sell high, and just keep doing it every time I see the price. I don't know where this goes, but it's not over by a long shot. Now, let's add in what PayPal just did to this conversation. If the whispers are to be believed, outgoing Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is preparing to tamp down on one of the fundamental tenets of the cryptocurrency ethos, the ability of the individual to hold their crypto themselves. Shout out to Michael Val, 5 links on this one. Now, this gets quite interesting here. Let me look at this little thread right here and run it down real quick here. Last week, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase says, we heard rumors that the U.S. Treasury and Secretary Mnuchin were planning to rush out some new regulation regarding self-hosted crypto wallets before the end of his term. I'm concerned that this would have unintended side effects and wanted to share those concerns. And what he's talking about is, for those who don't know, self-hosted crypto wallets, also known as non-custodial wallets or self-custody wallets, are a type of software that lets individuals store and use their own cryptocurrency instead of needing to rely on a third-party financial institutions, a la Nano-S Ledger, right? Tezos, things of that nature. Self-hosted crypto wallets are important because they allow anyone to use this new technology to access basic financial services, just like anyone can use a computer or smartphone to access the open internet. The open nature of cryptocurrencies to make it more powerful tool. Innovation is what levels playing field globally. What is fueling innovation, such as DeFi? It has a potential to bring down the cost, financial services, improve accessibility, and it goes outside of that, honestly, too, of not only just Ledger Nano, but other wallets that give you the ability to send out and pay funds there too. So the proposed regulation, we would think, require financial institutions like Coinbase to verify the recipient owner of the self-hosted wallet, collecting, identifying information on that party before a withdrawal could be sent to that self-hosted wallet. This sounds like a reasonable idea on the surface, but it is a bad idea in practice because it is often impractical to collect identifying information on a recipient in the crypto economy. And when he explains, he talks about DeFi apps and smart contracts. And when he said that, I was like, damn, you know what? You're right. Because who do you call if you're dealing with a DeFi app? What if I'm dealing with Kava Labs or something, right? If I'm dealing with Kava and I'm dealing with a decentralized app, in that case, I mean, who do you identify with that? I don't know. All I can tell you is that what really gets me out of this is that if the whispers are to be believed, outgoing Treasury Secretary is prepared to tamp down on one of the fundamental tenets of cryptocurrency. Now, like I said, I don't know if this happens, but it does feel like something is going to come. I mean, combine this with PayPal's move against a customer who says, look, you bought and sold 10 times. You got to start telling me why. They're not the same issue, but it's the same kind of thumb being put on the participant in the cryptocurrency space. I don't like it, and I'm sure you don't like it either. But I will say something here is not far from coming out, because if they're going to do something, and in fact they are preparing to leave office, then it's not far from coming down the pipe here. So we're going to have to pay very close attention to what does happen. Now, let's go back to an international level here, because the Bank of International Settlements, while all this is taking place as a U.S. conversation that we just covered, the Bank of International Settlements paper says there's potential to embed regulation into stablecoin systems. Oh, you bet there is. I can tell you right now that XRP has compliance and governance built into RippleNet. You could launch and issue stable coins off of that all day long. Yeah, the potential of Libra to quickly be adopted by hundreds of millions of Facebook product users means regulators will need to adapt quickly. Well, now here's another thing. So let's say that Libra is really prepared and they've made the necessary changes to launch a stable coin through Facebook. Well, okay, let's say that they do that. Well, are we going to be stopping Facebook users every time they buy and sell more than 10 times a day because they bought the dip and sold at the peak for the day and basically are, scalping the market? I don't know. Like I said, this does not a solution make. And it makes me feel more and more like we should be leaning into the notion that, not forgetting that the Fed and FinCEN have proposed that the definition of money explicitly includes virtual currencies. Why would they do that unless we're about to see virtual currencies be accepted as money, as currency? Isn't that the safest path with the least resistance? That the world is already connected through the old traditional payment rails through money, the correspondent banking system, right? And if we just accept these things to be money that aren't sovereign but yet still money, isn't the framework really already there throughout all the governments and countries of the world to be able to regulate money? Of course it is. Of course it is. It would just be expansive to include this. I think this is where we have to go ultimately, whether we're talking about virtual currencies or stable coins. I could be wrong, but I do want to remind people that this is the actual article for the BIS. I'm not going to read it to you, but they really talk about the regulatory response to private global stablecoins and the idea that Libra could be launching something. And they also talk about the idea that a CBDC could be a better choice than an actual stable coin itself. What I find interesting about that is I want to remind everybody that the approach from Brian Brooks and others here in the US is to do a public-private relationship. So you could have a CBDC, let's say, and as an example, just an arbitrary example, the USDC, right, could be adopted as the CBDC for the Fed. And there's your public-private relationship right there. It just takes doing so. And again, I remind you, the Fed is changing the definition, proposed to change the definition, and that should be days away because that was October 28th when I looked at it. So we're 2 days away from a 30-day notice for that amendment to take place. What might we see? And that amendment should take place just days before December 3rd of the SEC meeting that's coming up as well. So let's just, throw that together chronologically real quick. They amend the definition for the Fed and FinCEN to explicitly include virtual currency in the definition of money. And then on December 3rd, the SEC makes a decision to take no action on anything and basically step off of the crypto market broadly, except for ICOs and other places like where they need to be in respectively to what they do at the SEC. And now you've gotten an agency or two to step back out of the equation of what these things are or aren't, and we can get on with the market going absolutely bonkers in the best way possible, because once people see it as money, bring it on, baby. It's going to be a big deal. But that doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just speculating on the news. What I do want to point out here and remind everybody of is about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was put out July 21st, rule effective immediately at that time, is to adopt the idea that they could have transparency in cross-border payments for the first time in the history of cross-border payments domestically here in the States for banks and credit unions, by bringing transparency to that cross-border transaction by the use of either SWIFT's GPI or Ripple and XRP, so they could have transparency before accepting that payment between the sender and receiver. For the first time in the history of cross-border payments. You don't have to believe me when I say it, but it's written right here. Such as Ripple, which offers both payments messaging platform to support cross-border transfers, as well as proprietary virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. This rule is already effective in the United States. This rule doesn't really work if XRP is a commodity, because if I'm using it for the transparency of both, I got to pay cap gains on anything that moves back and forth in between this transaction. Someone does. At this current rate, someone does. Right? And if we're going to just have this big imaginary XRP pool where it all collectively sits, well, someone's got to handle the difference in the repercussions of the fact that it went from 23 cents to 72 cents and now 50 some cents. It's a thought. It's something to think about. Now, let's take a look at price while we're talking about all these things right now. Let's take a look at price. So we're looking at this right now. Let me refresh this page. Right now, we're at 53.68, right? So we're 53.75, just jump. So 0.5375 cents. That's where we're at right now. Well, what's interesting about this is that this is why I like Crypto Bull. He doesn't have to be right all the time. And I don't expect anybody with technical analysis to be right all the time. And nothing that I say or what I'm showing you about Crypto Bull his work here is financial advice. I don't give financial advice, and this is not financial advice. But I love this guy's work, and I even told him so. And what I want to show you is this right here. And while I'm showing you this chart, I want to remind you that while price is at 53 cents, when it was 70 plus cents, Crypto Bull put out a message and told us all, don't be surprised if this pulls back to 50 cents. We're at 53 cents. Now, he said that at 70 plus cents. That, to me, is somebody who understands how to look at the charts. It doesn't mean you always have to be right, but they looked at those leading indicators and said there's a possibility for us to pull back, and it has. And now we're here at this moment. And you know what else he had said in that moment is that once we pull back to this place, the market takes the breath, it gains the strength. You see a little bit of sell-off, and then right back up the mountain again, and here comes a dollar. Because we're talking about this chart right here now, and that's what we're preparing for, is the market to take that breath, gain the strength back, get the sellers out, and bring that buying volume back in. And off to $1 we go. And then he's shooting for $3 range in December and possibly a $20 range by January. Listen, I don't know if these things happen, but I certainly believe that this is the time to start leaning not only into fundamentals, but to start to look at some of the TA stuff that's happening in this market. Because we're seeing so much happen, you start to combine the fundamental news that has been gathering all these years in a down market. And now it's starting to be an explosive component. And when you look at the TA work, you can really start to get a clearer picture together with those two elements working together to show us where we may potentially go. So there it is for me. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Don't forget, hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell. Leave a comment below, share with somebody you know, and make sure you check out all the amazing links. Guys, it's 88% off on PureVPN. Help protect yourself and hide your anonymity online. It is all these services I use. Make sure you check out the Black Friday special, 3 months for free with Clinton Donnelly right now, only till Black Friday. So this stuff is really great, and there's some amazing sales right now on Ledger Nano S, no doubt about that. A lot of really great stuff in there. Make sure you check it out. And if you're new in the space, we've got a really great, affordable educational course. It's very quick to take. Check that out too, and I'll catch all of you on the next one.